What's up, everyone? Welcome back. I don't know, I kind of wanted to sing an intro there, but I'll stop. Welcome back to the episode of Coming Clean. Today, I got something real special for y'all. And I wanted to talk about something that, has been kind of chaotic in my life. It's been challenging. It's something that I really loved. It's something that was fun. It's something that taught me so much about myself, and that is my 20s. You're probably like, okay, Paige, sounds like you're going through a midlife crisis. Talking about your 20s. That was forever ago. No, but I'm so grateful for my 20s, so much so that I wanted to talk about them today. Let me first start out by saying I am 34 years young. That's what you say when you're old, right? I'm 34 years young. And I know everyone that is listening to this that are in their 20s, I know that if you're in your 30s right now, like me, I know that if you were in your 20s, you probably thought when you were in your 20s, like, wow, like turning 30 or being in your 30s is old. But then when you turn 30, and if you're like 34 like me, and you look back and you're like, wow, I was so silly for thinking that 30 was old when I was in my 20s. Because since I've been in my 20s, I'm in such a better place mentally, spiritually, physically, financially. I mean, I feel like I'm in the best shape I've been. And that's even after having a kiddo. One thing for me that has changed the most from my 20s to my 30s is my confidence. I don't know what else to kind of credit it besides being the fact that, I've been alive longer and I'm so much more confident than I was in my 20s. And I'm curious to know if anyone else feels like that. What is that one thing that has changed for you as you've gotten older? For me, kind of leaning into the confidence factor, I drastically saw a big change in my confidence about my appearance as I've navigated and traveled through my 30s. When I was younger, I wasn't happy with how I looked or with myself, or I was kind of just lost in life. And looking back, of course, my self-esteem was low, but I've done so much fixing on my self-esteem, not just on my appearance, but more like an inward, outward look on myself and on my life. I mean, I can't change how I felt about myself for all those years in my 20s, but I can continue on throughout my life feeling the way I feel now. And it feels so good to just say, I'm okay with myself. Being older, I also feel, so much more mature in the aspect of not comparing myself to other women that I did a lot of the times in my 20s, because let's face it, no one's perfect. I can see now that, comparing yourself to other people just does nothing positive. But it's more than just looking back on my 20s. Today, I really want to reflect on all of the lessons that I've learned and also gained in recent years and discuss what exactly I took from the years of my 20s. All right, y'all, let's get into it. Okay, so in my 20s and these years, your 20s are just so weird. They're so fun. They're so interesting. There is honestly no description because I feel like you kind of go through all these different stages in life. You feel every emotion, and every situation can seem kind of dramatic. Your 20s are finally the time that you are getting a real job and you're really trying to find out what lane you want to start your journey in life. Your 20s are a time where you're juggling friendships because, a lot of your friends might not even live in the same state anymore because after college, everyone kind of spreads out and, lives across country and do their own things. Like I have friends in California and kind of all over the place. Everyone is trying to kind of just get a hang of adulthood while still trying to maintain those close bonds that you've created throughout high school and college. This is also a pivotal time for dating. I remember in high school, I thought in my 20s I would have kids and be married, and I didn't do that until I was in my 30s. So, some people are in fact dating, and then a lot of people like me are, kind of figure out that dating world in their 30s. But, you're starting to navigate the dating world in a real and big way. And if you haven't, or maybe you are currently using dating apps, woo, bless you in this day and age, because I have heard some crazy stories from my single friends. I swear, I'm like, ooh, tell me what's going on. I live vicariously through them, through their dating profiles. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with dating online. Some of my best friends have actually met and got married through dating apps and have been together for many, many years and are really happy. I just feel like, oh my gosh, I just couldn't imagine doing it. I feel like it's kind of hard to navigate. And, while they make so much sense because it's so hard to meet someone in real time, like what are you going to do? Go to the gym, go up to someone, go to the grocery store, go up to someone. Dating apps can make connections so different in the beginning, but it's a great place to also connect. Your 20s are a tough but rewarding decade. It's honestly so wild to think about all the nights I spent crying and all of the lessons I learned and the hurt and the pain. Your 20s, I tell you. But it's also amazing to think about all the joyful moments that I had and all the beautiful things that happened to me in my 20s and all of the laughter. Wow, a lot of the best times came from being in my 20s. I think one of the main things that I wish my 20-something self knew was that despite the bad and the hard times, everything is going to be okay. I'll say it again. Everything is going to be and will be okay. The hard is hard, believe me, I know. And honestly, a lot of things even seemed more amplified when I was younger, and that stems even from earlier than my 20s. When you're in high school, you feel like, oh my gosh, this is the end. When you're in your 20s, you feel like, oh my gosh, this is the end. And for me, anyways, even the not so hard things seemed like the end of the world when I was in my 20s. Like, for example, relationships. Breakups in my 20s were the end of the world to me. And not that breakups in my 30s are any less, but my mindset has shifted a lot. One thing that I've learned about going through rough seasons, especially as you're still learning about yourself, is that you need to experience the hard fully. Some of us think holding on makes us stronger, but sometimes it's actually letting go that makes us even stronger. It can be easy to ignore the hard times and try to scoot past them, but I really, really encourage you to embrace them and to live through them fully. The more difficulties you face throughout everyday life, the more grounded and stronger you'll be throughout tough times in your life. Another thing that I want to add to that is that if you're feeling lost, it's okay. Everybody feels that way sometimes. I was so lost in my 20s. I had zero idea what the heck I was going to do with my life. I honestly had no passion to do something because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no direction and no desire. None. I was clueless. And I think that it can be easy to assume that you're the only one feeling these certain emotions when you're, especially in your 20s, because some people, especially on social media, seem like they have it all figured out and their life is so perfect. But I'm telling you, it is not. Just because people post about their marriages and their careers and they're having so much success in so many areas of their life doesn't mean that their life is perfect. And even if they are truly happy, it doesn't mean that you're on the wrong path because your path looks different. This actually leads me to another point. Timelines are ridiculous. They're stupid. Don't think about timelines. This one is kind of a tough one to remember, but it is so important. You are on your own timeline. And that is the only one that you have to adhere to. Something cool, though, that I learned in my 20s is that you make your own decisions. Not your parents, not your friends, you. You make your own decisions. You make your own rules. You create your own life. If you want to get married straight out of college to the love of your life, do it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Some people don't meet their partners like myself until they're in their 30s. You just don't know what your life is going to be like, but definitely don't settle and don't live up to other people's standards of the normal of when you should get married and have kids. Do what you want to do. Go at your own pace. Do what makes you happy, what makes you fulfilled. That goes for your career too. I mean, who would have guessed when I was in my early 20s that I would be here where I am today, career-wise, family-wise, everything wise. I mean, I live in Dallas, Texas. You would have asked me if I was going to live here in my early 20s. I would have thought you were crazy. I mean, definitely not me. I did not think that my life would look like this. I'm grateful and I love the life that I live, but I'm just here to say that your life isn't linear. Sometimes it doesn't go as planned, but everything will turn out better than you have ever imagined. I promise. So we have talked a little bit about expectations that you have or had for yourself and emotions that you went or possibly are going through right now. But I also want to encourage you to trust your gut when it comes to the decisions of your life. Your 20s are filled with decisions. I mean, all your life is, but your 20s, you make some really big decisions for yourself. And, it could be about moving, relationships, jobs, money. I mean, in your 20s, you're basically setting yourself up. And you have to rely on yourself. And you have to, you are what you have. You have to remember that. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't weigh your options. It just means that you need to try to get to know yourself the best that you can. And don't second guess yourself. You should weigh your options, like maybe making like a pros and cons list. When it comes to big decision making, consult others if you want. But at the end of the day, you need to do what is best for you. Make the decision based on your happiness, your life, and no one else. Don't let others persuade you or try to tell you how to live your life, because at the end of your life, the only person responsible for where you will be is you. So along with trusting yourself, I think that it is equally important to know and understand you. So that means have some alone time with yourself. Now, alone time is different than being lonely. Now, hear me say this. Being alone is good and it's nice and it's needed, but being lonely is hard. Alone time is something that a lot of people, I feel like, in their 20s kind of neglect. Now in my 30s, I'm like, where's my alone time? It can be hard and scary to think about being alone with your thoughts and your feelings, but it is so important to reflect and to learn and to really get to know you. This is what causes and produces you to grow. And this is so important and crucial in life. Alone time can be random and it can, just easily fit into your life and into your schedule. It doesn't have to be isolating. It doesn't have to be lonely. But alone time, it is oxygen for your soul, and it is essential and it is healthy. Another good thing that kind of goes along with that is change. And change is good and it is natural. And throughout your life and every season, you should change, and you are going to change. Your life is going to change. Your choices and your mind is going to change. Your reactions to things are going to change. Your friendships, your relationships are going to change. Everything, it will all change. And I don't say that to freak you out or to scare you. Change doesn't have to be scary. I know it sounds scary, and you might have anxiety or stress just thinking about the word change, but change means that there is newness and there is growth and there is so much beauty in that. It is actually really cool to think about how different we evolve and we become as the years go by. You don't have to stay the same person you were in high school. I know I'm so different. I've changed so much. I mean, I'm still the same, but I'm not. And that's such a beautiful thing. And as weird as it sounds, change should be the only constant in your life. So embrace change because it promises a new life, a new start, and a chance to begin again. And one last thing that I want to focus on, but before we talk about the 5 things, is emotions and being upset and hurt and angry, because all of these things we all feel. It's natural. We all have emotion. And, this goes back to life sometimes being hard. But you got to try to pin down the problem and the actual issue. If you are upset at something or angry at something, or you feel a certain way at something, look at that something and try to figure out what's really bothering you and try to find the source so that you are able to move through that and past it. And as you go through life, I really, really encourage you to face each season head on. People who avoid facing their hardships, I'm telling you, those hardships haunt them throughout their whole life. And people who face their hardships and work through them head on flourish without being held back. Okay, y'all, let's move into the 5 things. All right, y'all, here are the 5 things that I wish that I knew in my 20s and the 5 things that I simply live my life by now. Number 1 is good friends are gold. In the course of a lifetime, only a few people will truly get you. And some of those people won't stay around. Some of them will. So my best advice is to truly look after the ones who do. But it's also worth knowing friendship and love, in my case especially, develops in super surprising ways at every age and at all stages of your life. So stay open to it. And another piece of advice is just don't hold on to toxic relationships, and that could be romantically or a friendship, because life is seriously way too short to be unhappy or unfulfilled. Number 2, your mental health is a work in progress, and your mental health matters. Moods and emotions are not things that stay constant, and they're going to not be the same every day. You know, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed some days. And I know that it can be a challenge to stay in a good space mentally every day. We're going to have ups, we're going to have downs, we're going to have good days, we're going to have bad days. But you need to learn you and learn your tools and your strategies to improve your mood and your emotions. You need to listen to yourself. You need to work through your issues, and you need to love yourself through the journey. Number 3, trying to make others happy is a waste of time. And this is such a good one, especially this day and age with social media and everyone's trying to make everyone happy. But I want to say, you can support people and you can be there for them, but ultimately do what's best for you in your life. Just believe in yourself and do what you think is best for you. Number 4, kindness goes a long way. Like, just be freaking kind to people. This is like so self-explanatory, but it is so important. We just need to be kind. Like, can't we just be kind to people? Like, is that so hard? Love people as you love yourself. Be a positive influence. Spread love and joy and peace and kindness. And it could be something so small, and that could be something so major for someone. You could deliver like goodies to your neighbor, go bring books to your favorite, children's hospital, buy coffee when you're at Starbucks next time for the person behind you. I mean, it's not that hard. We make it so much more, we make life so complicated when it's very, very simple, but just be kind to people. And number 5, last but not least is, and this is one that was so important to me in my 20s, but travel when you can. Take advantage of opportunities that are available to you. So first, take advantage of opportunities. I didn't get to where I am today by sitting on the sidelines. So take advantage of opportunities. And another thing is, like, this is completely different, but travel, go, do. I mean, it doesn't have to be like Bora Bora or Greece every time. Lambert and I used to just get in the car and we used to take staycays on the weekends at random places, and we used to stay in the most rickety places, but it was the most fun ever. It doesn't have to be extravagant. Travel, see the world, see the neighboring towns around you. I mean, there's so much beauty probably in the town next door. Travel, take advantage of opportunities, and especially during these like wild, crazy times that we're all going through, you just don't want to look back on your life and feel FOMO or be upset that you like didn't do something. Like, live your life like with no regrets and just so fun and carefree. Traveling, I feel like, can teach you so much about other people and cultures and even yourself, and you can literally have the most magical, memorable moments traveling. Like, life is way too short. Just go and do. And traveling also helps you learn to adapt. But I'm so glad that I did everything that I did in my 20s, and I have no regrets. I mean, my 20s was just so fun. And I mean, my 30s are still fun. It's just fun to like live life so like you don't know what tomorrow brings, because you don't. So plan a trip, go deliver something to a friend that you haven't seen in a while. Just live every day chasing your dreams and being fulfilled and being truly happy. All right, y'all. That is all for me today. I would love to hear about your fun stories about your 20s, or what you took from your 20s, or now that you're past your 20s, like what you've learned or the conclusion, that you've gathered through, the last decade of your life. I would love to hear about it. If you are watching YouTube, definitely leave me a comment below the video. If you're listening to the Apple Podcast, please rate and review. And I would love to also hear what you guys want to hear next on the channel. So I love you guys. Thank you guys so much. And I will talk and see you guys next time.